Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode on the official Hermitcraft Modsauce server. We set up a quarry at the end of the last episode and it has finished already. It is absolutely amazing, this setup that we got right here. I logged out after recording, and when I came back in the next day it was finished. It was pretty much done. I had to go down there, remove some lava and all of that. But this thing has been working an absolute treat. And look at this, we have tons and tons of charcoal left over. Do you want to know why? Because I have upgraded this thing once again. So I've made a minor modification down here. By removing a couple of blocks, it means the charcoal didn't get grouped up here and it actually goes into this vacuum hopper. But the big change that I made is the tool that we were using to chop this thing down. So in the last episode, I think I showed you the technique where we aim at the top of the block, we reassign our click key to one on the keyboard, and then when we Alt and Tab, we can get this thing to automatically chop down trees for us. Well, I realised if we change the tool that we have, we could do a lot more with this. So check it out. This thing has 6,000 effective durability. This new tool that we built has 30,000 or almost, which is absolutely amazing. That is a huge increase. Now this thing does not have the auto repair, but you know what? The auto repair really doesn't do it for me because this thing runs out really quickly and then we need to repair it and use it again straight away. So with this one, we can get tons and tons of the stuff. Now I made this out of what I do believe is called mandolin. That's the two ores from the nether. When you smelt them together, it creates this stuff. So for this tool right here, I think the binding, the rods and the plate were made out of mandolin and the headpiece was made out of steel. So its repair material is steel, which is nice and cheap. And then on top of that, I put on some modifiers. We've obviously got auto smelt and lapis on there, but we also put on an emerald for 50% more durability, and then we reinforced it with an obsidian plate. And so this thing is an absolute beast. Now, if I remember correctly, when you're chopping this thing down and you go through the entire lumber axe, it takes 10 steel to repair it, but you get 72,500 charcoal just from that one thing. It is absolutely amazing. So that's why we got so much of this right here. It also uses 24 stacks of bone meal as well, so it's good to know the numbers. I am still very much interested in automating this fully. Lots of you have been suggesting ideas, but no one's come up with a solution that works as of yet. However, there was some misconceptions in the comments that I wanted to address. So the way these autonomous activators work, and I don't have one to hand by the way, but we're going to use a drawbridge. In fact, we're just going to put it on top of a block. So imagine this block right here is our dirt block, and this is the autonomous activator. When we set it to aim high and also aim low, I think what it's actually doing, and I've done some tests for this, is it's targeting the top of the block. So when it's normal, it's just going to target the block directly in front of it, and then when you set it to aim high, it targets the top surface of the block, like if we were to interact right here. So if we were to, put it on block placing mode and put it to aim high, then it would put a block there, and if we were to do aim low, then it would target the underside of the block. And because of that, it's never actually going to target the block that's on top of the one that we're targeting. And this is why I believe it can plant saplings, because you're clicking on the top surface of the block. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's why we can't use that to automate the farm. But we're not going to do anything else with this thing today, I think, because we've spent a lot of time on it. And that vacuum hopper just stole my wood. Of course it would have done. Oh yeah, anyway, we're going to move on from this. There are so many things you guys have been suggesting, and I've got an awesome idea for this episode involving XP tanks, so we're going to look into doing something with that. But first of all, we're going to go back to our base and investigate these ender chests, because you guys have been recommending that I get myself an ender pouch, and it certainly sounds like a good idea. Some of the things in these mods are just brilliant. Check this out. We have a reusable ender pearl. When I throw it, it drops where it lands, and you can just pick it back up and use it again. That's absolutely amazing. I love that. I stumbled across that when I was actually looking for the ender pouch. This thing was really cheap to make. That's the recipe right there. And what I had to do is just right click on the chest that I wanted to hook it up to, and then it gave it the same dyes. So you can't dye the ender pouch directly. You need one of these to hook it up to. But now they're linked together. So when I right click on this, let's just put, I don't know, let's put those in there. And you can see they go through into our little chest over here. That is just brilliant. That is really awesome. And of course, if we die and we lose this thing, well, it's an ender chest, so all the items are going to be safe in there, which is awesome. That makes me much more confident about going into those dungeons. Now, you guys have been saying this for a while now, that I should also use a diamond on the front to lock this thing. So I think it's that bit there. It's got a little bit of a hitbox. If we click on it, okay, it's now diamond. And I guess that means only I can use it, but I wouldn't know because I am me. So if someone else comes along, then they won't be able to use it, I guess. That thing's now empty, but that one's not. Interesting. I think that means it becomes a different ender chest when you put the diamond on it. So maybe if I right click it with my ender pouch now, or shift click. Oh look, the little thing on the ender pouch just changed on the side there. It changed to a diamond. So now that thing's empty. Okay, so I've got to get my items out of the other ender chest, that's for sure. Which I can do. Oh no, that one has brown dye on it. I have no idea what I was using the brown dye for. I'll fix that and sort that out later. There is something else that I want to do with this. As I mentioned, I had a little idea to do something with XP today. And one of the things we can actually do using the same mod is send XP through an ender tank. So what I've set up over here is a transfer node that's already picked up a whole bunch of liquid XP. And if we put this ender tank to the side of it, it should pick some of this up. There you go, it's filling up, which is awesome. I also want to try the diamond thing on this as well, so let's click on that. And that means all the liquid XP disappears because it's in a different ender tank now, in fact. I don't have the other one, but we'll be able to see that in a second. So there we go, it's slowly filling up now. It put a load in at once because it had loads stored up in the transfer node. Just like the ender chests, it uses the same thing on the top there, so we've gone for orange, orange, that's going to be my little combination right there. So now we should be able to send this XP through to the overworld, and I've got another tank set up around the side here. Let's just go around and use that quickly. Aha, so look, this is the one without the diamond on the front, so when I hit the diamond, this thing should be full up. Yep, because now it's the other one. That's good to know. Right, so let's put that on the side. And now it's going to output it into our tank. That is awesome. So we can take XP from different dimensions and bring it to one centralized place, which is important because what I want to do is create a centralized place to store all of our XP. And you guys have been telling me about the XP shower and the XP drain. So I'm going to look into those things. I'm going to set them up. And yeah, we're going to build a little XP facility. Okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We've got a lot to learn about this stuff before we start setting up some facility or whatever you want to call it. But I've got a good idea of what will go into that. However, let me show you what I've learned so far. So we've got the XP drain over there and the XP shower right here. This thing is really awesome. Check it out. At the moment it is powered, so it's on by default. When we unpower it, it just pulls out the XP, which is pretty cool. And I think this has been done so it drops out XP at the same rate that a player can pick it up, which would be a smart thing to do. So I don't know if you can get it any faster if you have two side by side, but it seems like that's what it's doing. And another little thing, check this out, it actually stays in the same location. If I go near it and step back, the XP doesn't get scattered around, so it could mean that these XP orbs are not actually vanilla XP orbs but modded ones, and obviously they look the same but perhaps they behave differently. Either way, I thought that was a really cool little feature right there. You know, if you've got an XP shower in your base, you don't want to walk away from it and have all those XP orbs scatter around. So that is a nice little feature over there. Then this next thing is absolutely awesome. It is the XP drain. I've got to say, I love all of the stuff in these mods. They're really, really cool. If you stand on top of this, guess what it's going to do? It's going to drain your XP, and it does that quite fast, actually. But I started playing around with it, and it turns out you can stand on top of 4 of them at once. Now you can't put these on the side of a block or above them, so 4 is pretty much the most as far as I can figure out. And yeah, you stand on 4 of them and it pulls it out 4 times as fast. You can see my XP bar going down there pretty fast, which is cool. And that's pretty fast considering I have 2,900 XP levels, which is crazy. But anyway, I also found out that these ender tanks are a little bit funky. If you have ones that are higher up like this, when these ender tanks down here are full, and you're standing on the XP drain, it's not then going to push the XP up into the tank over here. So it made me realise that what we're probably going to have to do is have one master storage tank, and then everything else that goes into it will come through an ender chest. So somewhere you'll have your 4 tanks, your drains on top of them, that'll output directly into an ender tank which goes into your main one. And that'll probably be, you know, how we do it if we do get around to setting up a facility for this. So I've also put an ender tank over here at our animal breeders, because this will be what we do at pretty much every farm or anything that we do that has XP, is just put some vacuum hoppers and a little ender tank. So whenever we breed these animals, that gets picked up and automatically sent into our master storage tank. And that is pretty much how we're probably going to do it. I don't know, I feel like I need to put some more thought into this before we build a facility or anything like that. Another thing you guys have been telling me to check out are the fans from OpenBlocks, and I have installed these into the farm. These things are awesome. They are really, really cheap. Check this out. They do not cost a lot at all, and you can power them with redstone as well. So really cheap to run, and guess what they do? They push things in front of them forward. I can give you a little demonstration like this. See, I'm now moving backwards. If you throw some items at it, it's going to push it all over to us, which is really cool. I like that. And I've added these to the farm so they help with pushing the mobs to the front. Now installing them here on the Blaze farm was a little bit problematic. You can see my armour has taken some damage. I really need to finish installing the drawbridges and glowstone up top. But now that it's done, you can see it pushes the blazes over to this wall really quickly actually. You can see it even better on the creeper farm on this side. There you go, perfect. They fall down, they get pushed across ever so quick, and basically what it's doing at the moment is increasing the efficiency of the farm ever so slightly by getting them to the front over here a little bit quicker. And we might not even need the conveyor belts anymore, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. Anyway, I wanted to show you this because we're going to build something very cool with these fans. I had a suggestion in the comments that I went into a test world to check out, and unfortunately it didn't work for what was suggested. However, it gave us something ever so cool to do a really cool project with. And I'm actually just going to go through and build this. So I cleared out a little bit of space over here. I'm going to build this little project, and I think you are going to love it. It's going to be awesome. So this amazing thing that I was going to build, well, I spent hours and hours working on it, going through tons of mods, getting some valuable items together. It took a long time, and when it came down to building it, I realised I had been a complete dummy and used something that you can only use in creative mode, because that's where I went and tested it out. I wanted to see if it would work, and it was quite some time before I realised, oh no, it doesn't work in survival, so let's not talk about that again. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I decided there's another thing we're going to do here in this episode. A lot of you guys have been telling me about Cursed Earth. Apparently, if we put Cursed Earth underneath these spawners, they will activate when I'm not around, which is pretty cool. That means we can use the lights in here as on-off switches, and we don't actually have to be standing next to the spawners, which is a good thing. Now, in order to get this Cursed Earth, you have to do a ritual. And it's pretty interesting. I thought this looked really cool. You know, a lot of the stuff in the mods is crafting and things like that, whereas this one is an actual, group of things that you have to do in an order, and it's supposed to be performed at midnight. Oh, this thing just changed. Okay, so we're trying to activate this, and it's just gone shiny. That must mean it's the right time to do this. So, I have the instructions on my other screen. We're supposed to place down an enchanting table, put some redstone down around it. That is step 2. Yep. Step 3 is to find an animal or monster to be sacrificed. Wait until midnight, which it pretty much is step 4. So 5 is remove all nearby light sources. I don't know how overboard we got to go there, but we want to make sure we do this. So let's remove a fair few of these torches. Come on. They're kind of finicky to hit because they do have a small hitbox. There we go. Let's just remove a couple over the back here. That looks good. Does that emit light? That almost looks like it emits light. And we've got one over the other side of the fence, and that looks pretty good, I think. Okay, so this thing... Oh, I think we actually missed our opportunity because it's no longer enchanted. Oh, do you know what that means? That means I'm going to have to wait for a while. Okay, I'm going to stick around and wait for this thing to go enchanted again. We could finish this little ritual off, but I've got a feeling it won't work. Kill the animal while it's on top or next to the enchant... Oh! Oh, okay, right, so it's raining, and this thing is just activated. I had to go and grab a chicken, and yeah, our next thing to do is to kill an animal while it's on top of or next to the enchanting table. So, let's just plop it like that, and kill it. Oh, that was cool. Wow, I did not expect that. Oh, what was that noise? Oh, why did I have to talk? That sounded crazy. Oh my god. What is happening? What is happening? This is awesome! I did not know what to expect. I knew we'd get Cursed Earth. Okay, is this thing just going to keep spawning mobs? It looks like it is. That thing's fast. Oh my god. And now there's fire! Do you know what? I could have done this, right in the middle of the base. I'm glad I came around the outside here. I was going to plop down some torches, but the fire, it should... it might burn down the village. Let's start putting this out. Yeah, the fire should light up and stop mob spawning, although I'd guess that it was the ritual doing that and not, and natural spawning, if that makes sense. I really want to get some of this stuff, so let's pick it up as well. Can we silk touch it? Yes, we can. Okay, I'm going to grab this because it looks like loads of it is turning to dirt. Is anything else on fire yet? I'm really worried about the village getting set on fire here. Okay, this looks like that's all there is to it, though. I wonder how long it will keep creating fire for. Anyway, I'm going to try and pick up as much of this stuff as I can, because you can see there it's starting to disappear. So we're going to need, I think, 1 for each spawner. And we've already got enough for that, but if we want to make more in the future, I don't know. I think this stuff spreads is what I read. I could be wrong, but everything is burning down at the moment. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Okay, there we go. We got all of it. I got about 60. Well, I got exactly 60, didn't I? So almost a stack. And we can pick this stuff up. I don't think anything else is going to happen. That's good. So this is from a mod called Extra Utilities, and I really like that. I hope the mod has other things like that. I'm going to look into it a little bit, but it says on this wiki that I'm looking at that it will spread to other adjacent dirt blocks so we can grow this stuff. However, light will make it turn back to dirt really quickly. So that's what we saw happening there, and I'm guessing that part of the ritual created the fire and spread it around a little bit, so that's why yeah, loads of it started turning into dirt. And it's interesting because the ones that had fire directly on top of them didn't turn into dirt, I noticed. But there you go. Anyway, I've got a little bit of tidying up to do here. It burnt down my fence post, so I'm not annoyed in the slightest because that was awesome. And yeah, like I said, I think I'm going to look into this mod a little bit more, but we're also going to put the cursed earth underneath the spawners over there. And I just remembered something. We've just learned that light turns this stuff into dirt, so there is a possibility that it's not actually going to work in our spawner setup because the light is very close to it, but we'll try something and we'll see what happens. Okay, fingers crossed, this should be fairly straightforward. We're going to go in there, place down the cursed earth. Now it's not fully dark in here just yet because we got this opening. I don't know what light level it needs to turn into dirt, but let's just put the dark glass here so it's nice and dark in there. And I guess the next thing to test is if it's still going to activate the spawners when we're standing. Oh, that doesn't look good, does it? Oh no, they're not activated. Okay, are they activated but they just don't look like they are because Cursed Earth is doing something? Right, I'm going to stand here for a moment and just see what happens. Well, I've been standing here for a while and nothing has spawned, and I've got the wiki page for Cursed Earth open, and I could have swore I just saw something spawn there for the first time. Anyway, I'm reading the wiki page on the other one, and it says Cursed Earth increases, that's incorrect English right there, so Cursed Earth increases the rates of mob spawning for monsters on top of the dirt, disregarding the proximity of players and only in darkness. So that basically means if we were to build a mob spawner and Cursed Earth was the floor, then we would get lots more spawns regardless of how close we were to it. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to watch the video back there because I could have almost swore as soon as I decided to give up and start recording that something spawned there. Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to take more time observing this thing. There it was again, I'm sure I saw something. Maybe it just spawns really slow and you don't get to see the spawner spin around. Interesting. Oh yes, you guys saw it, and there it is again. Mobs are spawning in there. It does seem to be a little bit slower, but obviously we'd have to do some tests to find out. But that is awesome news right there. That is a really cool thing to have. Anyway, I want to go down here and turn on the lights quickly because there's one more thing that we've got to test. Now, I was reading the wiki again just to double check. It doesn't specify if it's light or daylight. However, light levels could possibly turn this into dirt. And what it says is light levels on the surface of the block. It specifically says that, which is interesting, and that has a mob spawner directly above it, which could mean that it's not going to affect it, which would be absolutely awesome. And also, no, I just had a really silly idea. Ignore me, that's a terrible idea. Anyway, that is good news. We're going to put this on all of the spawners, and then we can have them run when we're not nearby, which is great. Isn't it a little bit noisy around here? We've got all of these blazes spawning, these creepers, these cows and pigs, and we have something in this game called a sound muffler. Now that is awesome. If you know what a muffler is, then you know what this thing is going to do already. This is just really cool. There's some stuff in the mods that I would have never expected, and this would be one of them, you know. Hearing cows and pigs and stuff when they're all grouped up together and you go past them, it is kind of annoying because they're loud and it just gets in the way. And they have this thing right here, so this in an 8-block radius will muffle all of the sound. So I'm just going to be quiet for a moment. And there you go. Almost silence. It muffles it by up to 90%, it says. And this is also from Extra Utilities. This is a really cool mod. There's lots of interesting stuff in this one, including the trash can, which we've used already. And there are a few other things I've been using. I think the redstone clocks are also from this as well. So I'm going to have to check out some of the other things in this one. But there you go. That is a nice little addition right there. What I'm thinking of doing is putting this on top of the spawner up there. Although actually, directly above that we have, yeah, our on-off wireless receiver or sender, whatever one it is. Perhaps below that we could put the sound muffler and then these things will be quieter. However, as soon as they drop out of range, which would be about 8 blocks, then they would make noise again, so it's a little bit hard to tell. I've been trying to figure this out, but what this thing could do is it could muffle all of the sound when you're in radius of it by 8 blocks. So the closer the player is to it, the more sound it muffles, or all of it. I'm not sure exactly how it works, as I said. Or possibly it just muffles the, where the sound is coming from, like the cows and the pigs. But it doesn't specify on the wiki, so I guess we won't know. But it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Otherwise, if it was based on where the player is, then you'd want to put these around the spawners where I would, walk by and look at it. But anyway, I don't know. Well, it's time for me to wrap things up now, I guess. That's pretty much all I got time for. Unfortunately, I spent absolutely ages working on something that only works in creative mode, and I'm kicking myself for that. Oh, it would have been so awesome, but it doesn't matter because it's not possible. So that's going to be it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, please do leave a like. It will always be appreciated. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.